Welcome to Dark Tale Shorts 101, where every shadow hides a story. This may be our first story, but many more will follow from the darkness. The goal of this channel is simple: to create a place where people can sit back, listen, and immerse themselves in chilling stories inspired by real experiences, paranormal encounters, folklore, and the unknown. In a world filled with noise and distractions, we want to bring back the feeling of gathering around and listening to stories that send chills down your spine. The stories shared on this channel are inspired by real people, real experiences, and terrifying encounters told by individuals from around the world. While the narration is created using AI voice technology to bring these stories to life in a cinematic way, the experiences and stories themselves come from human accounts, folklore, personal encounters, and paranormal tales. Our stories usually do not last more than 10 minutes. We believe that anything beyond that often stops feeling like a real personal experience and starts becoming more like a novel. We focus on short, immersive storytelling that feels raw, personal, and unsettling. If you enjoy creepy storytelling, paranormal experiences, and short horror tales, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join the darkness here at Dark Tale Shorts 101. Because sometimes, the scariest stories are the ones people claim really happened. The creature beneath the lake. I was a young man, maybe in my early 20s, when this happened to me. And even now, after all these years, I still think about it. Sometimes late at night, when everything is quiet. I remember that morning on the lake, and I still feel that same fear crawling up my spine. Back in the spring of 2004, I bought myself an old 12-foot aluminum fishing boat. Cheap thing, scratched up, dented on the sides. The kind of boat most people would laugh at. But to me, it was freedom. I grew up around lakes and rivers. Fishing was something I loved deeply. Didn't matter if it was spring, summer, fall, or winter. If the water wasn't frozen solid, I was out there. Most of the time I fished with my younger brother or a friend. But sometimes I liked going alone. Hmong and my parents and grandparents used to tell us stories all the time about creatures, spirits, and things that lived deep in the forests and waters. As kids, we laughed at those stories. Until something happens to you. That morning started peaceful. It was early summer. The sun had just begun warming the water. There was a light fog hanging low over the lake when I pushed my little aluminum boat off the shore. The water was calm. Too calm. Not a single wave. Not even wind. I remember hearing only two things: the soft splash of my paddle, and birds somewhere deep in the trees. I went far from shore that day, farther than I usually did. The lake in my hometown was pretty big, and there were areas where the water became dark and deep. The kind of deep water that makes you wonder what's underneath you. But I didn't think much about it back then. I was young. A few hours passed. The sun was high. Beautiful day. I remember sitting there quietly in the middle of the lake, holding my fishing rod, drifting slowly. Then suddenly, everything changed. I noticed a shadow pass over me. At first I thought clouds had rolled in. I remember looking down into the water, expecting to see the sunlight disappear from the surface. But something felt wrong. The air itself suddenly felt heavy. Cold. I slowly lifted my head, and what I saw froze me completely. To this day, I cannot explain it. Standing, or maybe floating, just a distance away from my boat, was a creature so massive, my mind refused to understand what I was seeing. Its neck was long, longer than anything I had ever seen in real life, like those dinosaurs you only see in books or museums. Its skin looked dark and wet under the sunlight, and its eyes, God, its eyes were orange, bright orange, not glowing like in movies, but alive, watching. I remember my entire body locking up. I couldn't move, couldn't speak, couldn't even breathe correctly. The creature never made a sound. At least, I don't remember hearing one. Maybe it did. Maybe I was just too terrified to hear anything anymore. It moved slowly through the water, almost peacefully, and I realized it wasn't hunting. It was eating vegetation from beneath the lake's surface, like some giant animal grazing underwater. I watched it for several minutes, or maybe longer. Honestly, it felt like a lifetime. I remember gripping the side of my little aluminum boat so hard my hands hurt, and all I could think was, this thing should not exist. Then slowly, without a sound, the creature lowered itself beneath the water. The lake became still again. No splash, no roar, nothing, just silence, complete silence. I sat there frozen for I don't even know how long, afraid to move, afraid it would come back up beneath me. Eventually, I started my small motor and went back to shore. I didn't tell many people after that, because honestly, how do you explain something like that? People either laugh, or they think you're crazy. Over the years, I went back to that lake many times. Part of me hoped I would see it again. Part of me prayed I never would. But I never saw that creature again. Not once. And even today, as a grown man, I still ask myself the same question. Was I just imagining things? Was it fear playing tricks on my mind? Or did I really witness something ancient, something unexplained, still living beneath that lake? And so, the story ends here. But somewhere out there, someone may still be living their nightmare. If you enjoyed tonight's tale, don't forget to like, subscribe, and return for more dark encounters, paranormal experiences, and chilling stories inspired by real people and real fears. At Dark Tale Shorts 101, we believe the shortest stories are often the most terrifying because they feel real. Sleep carefully tonight. And remember, some stories never truly end.